I think you got it.
Yep, there you go.
There you go.
There
Okay.
you
And I guess this is work. This is on.
Who are you, sir?
Hey,
How you doing?
good.
You know Lucy, right?
Oh, yes.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Sid Godino.
Bruce Gartston.
Bruce, oh yeah, yes, you got a cemetery.
I do.
That's in your backyard, is it, or it's close by?
Yeah,
How's it coming?
it's good. Nobody's moving in, so I guess we're all set.
I mean, I've never actually seen it myself, but it's, how many stones are there?
It's just two people buried.
Just two?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have a couple of those.
Yeah.
Scattered.
Actually, somebody came out. Was it you that came out? Somebody took the GPS reading? I don't think it was you.
I don't think it was. me.
No, somebody came out because I wanted to get a GPS reading on the spot so it could never be disturbed.
Okay,
Because the town had no record where it was. They had it way up by the other end. They had it
Yeah.
further north and it wasn't there, so I just went on a record, so
might have been one of my wife's accomplices.
could be.
Or the helps her, but
Yeah,
I know in her book, and with the addendum, they're trying to put in, I believe they're trying to put in the GPS coordinate information
Mhm.
along with the directions that
Yeah,
are in there.
yeah, because
And
people
some-
can find it.
Yeah,
With their
I mean,
phone.
a lot of people today
Oh, yeah.
would go by that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I just go by looking where the rock is.
Yeah.
Yeah. so-
Did you
Yeah.
purchase that?
And some
New
have
stone?
changed. I mean, there's a Bailey Cemetery off of Churchill that you had to go through somebody's backyard, walk several hundred feet through the
Yeah.
woods to get to it. Then they put a housing development
Yeah.
next to it. And now cemetery is in the backyard of number 7 Bailey Lane or
Yeah,
Bailey Way, yeah. So it's a lot easier to get to.
yeah,
And the other good news, I mean, I went there to put the flags up. I assume it's the homeowner, but they're taking care of it.
probably.
Cemetery was in really good shape.
Yeah.
So,
Ours are getting grazed over by donkeys.
Yeah.
Keeps ours-
well, that's the hope, that if somebody, if it's in your backyard close by.
Well, this isn't close by. What is it? Figure 400 feet away from the house, probably?
Yours?
Yeah.
No, that's like, from the barn, it's like 50 meters, but that's probably a 400 meter shot from your
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
porch to that place.
Yeah, probably.
I assume there are no vets buried there.
I don't even know. I can't
Don't
get any,
know.
I can't get any
I know it's not. on-
information on the people because the way I understand it, they were Quakers. And Quakers didn't believe in monuments, so they just had the stones. But the information on who was buried there was in the records for the old Quakertown church, but that burned.
Yes,
So
yes,
nobody knows, and I can't find anybody that knows.
there are no records.
But I believe that a relative from the G Fox Corporation in Hartford was a relative of theirs, because I can remember, I don't know if you ever remember, this was probably 40 years ago. People would come down and visit the farm down there and walk up to that cemetery.
Not specifically visiting, but I heard stories.
Yeah.
And
I remember
we walked
coming there,
up and
but
all
I
that.
don't remember who they were.
And that wasn't, that stone there, you must have bought and purchased and put there, because that was
Actually,
a
I didn't
stone.
buy
that
the
I-
stone.
Oh,
The stone came with the property,
okay,
but I had them etched.
okay, gotcha,
Yeah.
okay.
So are they field stones or are they regular?
No, field stones, they're, the way it's described in the records is it's a 2-grade lot with 6 field stones. 1 in each corner and 1 in the middle on the sides. And that's how they describe it. So
And you've got just the 2 that are in the middle?
just the two graves, that's it.
The 2.
And then we put a stone there with their name on it.
Oh, the others were just marked.
Correct.
Yeah.
They mark the corners and then the sides.
Yeah, you're probably familiar with the Roger Lane
Yeah,
Cemetery,
Mhm.
right? And what's the records?
come on.
burned, so all-
And
all-
nobody knows.
There are some stones, of course, it doesn't help very much, I don't think, without the records that have Roman numerals on them.
Vincent, it's like 7, I think you have some people,
Oh,
you might want to,
I think your meeting's starting.
What's that?
it's like 7 o'clock.
Your meeting. I think your meeting's beginning.
Don't you start your meeting at 7? There's some people online that you might wanna.
Back to Corey. Hi. Hi, Rebecca, Corey.
Are they on mute? I'm just wondering if our voice is working.
Oh, I don't know.
You're working fine.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, the owl does a good job of that. Well, I hope they show up because we need them for a meeting.
Oh, the other two people, they committed,
Ken Gear and Bill Barnes,
they both said they're coming, right?
they both said they would be here. So I'm assuming that's gonna happen. Oh,
How are you?
I'm good. How you doing,
I'm
Bill?
good.
Hey,
Hey,
Bill, how you doing?
Welcome.
Yeah, how you been?
welcome. Good. Are you connected?
Yeah,
Oh, you got it all set
yeah.
now?
I hooked him up.
Earl got
There we go.
Sorry to take your
it
spot.
set up.
Hey, how you doing?
Well, yourself?
I'm good. How you been?
Good.
All right,
So now we just need Ken.
okay. He was coming, right?
I talked to him,
Okay,
was it Friday? I think Thursday, Friday. He said he would be here. I told him we needed him
yeah, we
to
do.
have a meeting. We needed 4 for a quorum.
Very good. Do we have anyone online? Who do we have online then?
What's that?
Who do we have online?
We've got Corey, Rebecca.
Okay,
I'm not sure. Who else? Cindy Pond.
okay, thanks.
While we're waiting, I think you might be interested in this picture. I took a quick picture. This is Bruce, you probably know this picture. This is a watercolor by Soderbergh that my dad has.
No kidding.
Yeah, and these are-
And that's there.
Is that the ice house?
Yeah.
And then this one here, that's the postcard series they made out of it. We have both of those. And Dad was telling me, I got my notes here, he said Pierce is the guy that's doing the horse, because Pierce smoked cigars, pipes. He's always the one that ran
Oh, is that right?
horse.
You mean Dan Pierce?
Yeah, and then Charlie Parmalau that lived up here in Bedford Center. He was in the picture, Wolford, they say. Then the other two are just people we would hire from time to time. Because they always ran 5 people in the ice house.
They did. Okay.
Yeah, they said 2 in the ice house. 2 guys helping
Hi,
get
Ken. Are
in
you?
the ice house.
Okay.
was
Okay,
that?
yeah, come on, because we've just got 3 of us here, and without you, we can't have a meeting. Okay, we'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, thanks, bye.
If I'm not mistaken, I know because I'm on the commission for the agriculture, you can run a meeting with 2 people present
You forgot,
as long as the others are online. on
Yeah.
Zoom.
which happens.
He'll be here in just a.
Just so you know.
He lives downtown Road, one of those here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of those deers.
Yeah.
One of those cogs in the wheel.
Able to touch base with James.
I did, yes. He sent it, mailed it yesterday, should be here tomorrow at 10. So he overnighted it. I don't know how he wrote. Maybe it was sent this morning. It's on its way. ready to
It'll
roll.
be here. Oh,
So
Good.
if when you inquire on the payment for the security system, if you could if tomorrow, if you happen to talk, if someone may have received it tomorrow by noon,
yeah,
be good to
I
know.
have to take get a PO started.
Yeah.
But I haven't gotten the estimate from Alan yet.
Oh, for the, right, for the, no,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Well,
Well, I'm sure he's working. I'm
he,
sure
he said he thought they would send it today, so,
I didn't see it today yet.
yeah.
So it feels good to at least have that one piece done.
Oh,
That,
yeah,
you know, I mean, we have,
yeah,
and I'll have it all set up on my cell phone, hopefully in the next couple of days, then I'll be able to. Once I have that, I know Alan will like that, because he likes the technology part, so if I can get him on his phone, and he can turn it on and turn it off.
yeah.
Or
But-
remote access for security at the.
Yeah, the sawmill, I'll mention it later when we get to that part of the agenda, but, there's two things that I think had troubled, Vin when I joined and we started looking into it. One is anybody could get in that building. Like, you don't have to open a door. You can pry a board open with a, you don't even need a
Right.
screwdriver. I mean, you probably with your hands could just kind of get yourself in the building. And we've had people get in that like the swim in. They would come in, we think, so they put some, so anyway, we just had a system put in place that will at least be it has motion detectors. We're not positive how that's gonna work with the wildlife that get in there, birds and such, but hopefully they're not your normal home motion detectors. I think there's, so that's in, and we put in 1, 2, 4, 7 fire, heat sensors.
Oh,
I don't know that if they detect heat, if the fire department will be able to get there fast enough, because that thing will go up fast.
Oh, they'll save the foundation.
Yeah, exactly, but you don't know. I mean, at least it's a fighting shot at it.
maybe
It's
the.
better than nothing.
Yeah.
At least got a chance.
If in the end we could, well, the problem is not just the turbine, it's all of the apparatus, the linkage for the whole assembly for the sawmill itself is quite a thing. Every time I'm there, I look through the diagram that we have of it, and I go up and down, I'm like, that is
It's amazing.
genius. It's really,
Yeah, yeah.
and I had a couple visitors, every time I'm there, we get visitors, they just, will you open? Come on in, let me show you around, and
When you do demonstrations and stuff, because we were out there and you're actually at some logs, do you always cut wood and stuff, and did?
during the spring and fall, when they have the cutting season, they have, Alan, he has a crew of 4 or 5 really top-notch volunteers, and during that season, every Saturday they're there.
Yeah.
So it's April and May, and in the fall, I don't know if it's quite as long. How much do we say?
I think
It's
they're supposed
October,
Try
right?
to do 2 months.
Yeah,
If they have enough
Yeah.
water.
we usually do really well April, May, unless we get like a dry spell.
Right.
The fall, sometimes we might not get the full amount, but I think 4 months a year, they're cutting on Saturdays. And when it's there, I mean, they are cutting wood, minus every once in a while, we'll have a mechanical issue, but
Yeah.
we've got some creative volunteers. Last year was a particularly tricky part where gate in that permits or stops water from going to the turbine had broken. And one of our volunteers is a Navy diver. So he came with scuba suit, underwater flashlights, and we reclaimed the piece, looked at it. And it was so funny because when it came out, we said, we have one of those. It's over here. We didn't know what that was.
Mhm.
And it, the same sort of thing had rusted and corroded away. So he was able to get a stainless steel bolt and sort of reconnect it. But eventually we'll need a new one. But it's pretty amazing that in a week we went from, we didn't know if it was going to run to it's fixed. And it's running pretty well.
Got a talented bunch out there.
And everybody who walks through that place is just amazed and think that, since the 1880s, that's been running. It still runs, and it's nothing new. It's the same mill. And so,
The summertime is always problematic because
although the water's
you
high as
never know
can
if
be
you're gonna
right
have
now.
enough water,
It's,
That's what they were telling
to run it, so.
when I was out there visiting.
And if we could get the proposal from James and get that in, I think that'll be make for a
We
good
can
summer.
relax at
Yeah.
that point, you know. The other one is just icing if it turns out to be
Right,
exceptional. It's gonna have to be really good though. 'cause,
I think
you
so.
know, James put in a really, really good.
well, that young lady he had brought out, she was, that young lady that was there with him,
Yes,
she was really,
sure.
yeah. Although the second group we had, that she was good
She
too.
asked a lot of good questions and had some observations that were good, so. She kind of, sounds like, I mean, it seemed like she knows her stuff. I still wonder about why she wasn't on the list.
Yeah, I know, I don't either, but I don't think Mary keeps a real, that's just, I think the one she done something recently,
It could be.
so.
Oh.
Hey, Ken, how are you?
Hi,
Well, sorry,
Ken.
everyone.
Hey, that's okay.
How you doing?
I'm good. Sorry, I just completely
So that's okay.
unexpected
Thanks
company and
for-
then it went right out of my mind. I don't
Well-
know why this goes out of my mind, but
It's easy to do. I've done that myself a couple of times. But thanks for coming down.
Oh, sure. Hey, Ken,
ready.
How have you been?
good.
Well, good.
So- I'll call this meeting to order at 7:11. And the roll call, that Bill is here, Ken is here, Earl, and myself.
Okay.
I do, Ken. Earl, man.
Oh, I'm sorry, you did.
I know
yeah.
Ken.
Should have known you. Yeah.
Okay. All right, and you were both alternates. So you're appointed as regular members, regular voting members for this meeting. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the minutes from the previous meeting. You all had a chance to look at those. Any corrections, changes?
When I looked over them, I thought they're fine. I was at the meeting
They
at
look-
the
you were-
Citizen and I remembered what went, and I went through it, and I thought they were captured.
So
You
look-
intended to.
Okay, all right, good.
Yeah, I didn't have any concerns. I
Yeah,
think they
you
were-
have a motion.
I'll make a second.
Second by Bill. All in favor of accepting the minutes as written?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, the fiscal report. As of the first part of June, there was $679 left in the Lester House account. And 2,612 in the sawmill account. There are some things at the sawmill that I think you guys want to do, right? The head gate repair.
Right.
And I thought we could not issue a purchase order after like the first week in June. So I talked to Matt, our finance director, and he said, no, we can write a purchase order now, I think right up to the end of June. He said that was some rule that Marcia had or procedure
Okay.
she had that I guess he's not doing, so that's good. But I think we should continue to get them in early, you know, as soon as we
Yeah.
know to get them in. We don't want to put a pile of them in at the end of June, which is maybe what Marcia was trying to avoid
Probably.
when she you know, came up with that procedure. So we'll be able to issue that. And there's one more, the mower continues to have a problem. So I think I might get another one with the money that's left in there to Todd Rowley.
Oh, yeah.
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 He's set to come over and see if he can figure it out.
Good
get
man
it
for that.
fixed. In addition, we have the donations accounts. There's $5,658 in the sawmill donations account. And Lester House has 399 in the donations. There's also $200 left in miscellaneous, but we've got a purchase order to Terry, right, to do some work, painting work on the school. We have,
The
we have-
$500,
what's that?
the $500?
Yes, 500, definitely made that out for it. We have a purchase order to Roland Signs for $200. And that's to cover, that'll cover 2 small signs. One of them, I think, from what Lance said before he retired, was possibly for the sawmill. And the other one, I think, was for the community center
Down in,
the village.
yeah,
And if we don't do that one, I think I'd like to have one made for the Lester House.
yeah.
We don't have one for the Lester House. You know. but-
I would start with those two. I mean, those are the 2 properties. If we do something, you know, do one at the Lester House first, Sawmill second. And we can go from there. Let's start with those 2.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the
I think
properties
let's
where-
take care of the 2
Right.
we're responsible for. I mean, but we need to give Roland what you want on the sawmill side.
And
Okay,
was there a discussion about the size too? I think, did you guys settle on the exact size? Because I thought you needed it larger than what you guys have been talking about.
I think for these, we were gonna come up with a standard, like this is what's on the building, as opposed to a sign of like, you know,
Sure.
all the hours of operation. I think it's a, you know, established.
I've got one in my car. I should have brought it in. But
We
they're-
had it last, well, yeah, we had it last
yeah,
meeting.
that was just
Right.
an example. They're about just, you know, just wide. About that high.
Yeah, so later in the meeting, I'm gonna bring that subject back up, so I'll ask my questions then. It's not pertinent to this financial question.
I mean, whatever we do, and we probably could vary the size a bit, but we're kind of limited by the $200 that we have on that purchase order to roll.
Right,
So if we get 2 signs, I think the ones we have, he could make for $85 or something like that.
Right.
But if we increased it significantly, might
Sure.
not be able to, you know, do it. We can do it at some point, but we probably wouldn't be able to do it with a current PO. Okay,
one question on the donate, like on these accounts, and just for my own edification, are some accounts dead at the end of the year and some carry over to the next one? Like if donations can be carried over to next?
the
fiscal year?
donations carry over.
Okay, and the other one accounts will be
They,
returned.
Right.
they,
They reset based on the budget.
they end at the end of the,
Except the capital,
yeah, what's that?
well, except the capital.
No, the
budget.
capital carries over
Right,
also.
Thanks.
We've got capital accounts, which I didn't have the numbers on, but we haven't used them, so we had 25,000 on the sawmill.
Right.
Capital, and the Lester House had, we used some of that, so I think there's a couple thousand on the Lester House.
Okay,
But the other ARPA funding, you heard about,
I saw a line item for 125, that might be different than, or it might be, I don't know.
there were, yeah, well, it's 125 for the sawmill. Okay. and
That's
that
1,000.
As I
Right, that's what I'm
understand it, that becomes available July 1st,
Right,
but it's its own thing. We have to contract the money before December of
23,
24.
24.
oh, 24.
And the work has to be completed by December of 26. for the ARPA funds.
And then, okay,
Okay,
that's different from the 125, or is the same thing?
That is the 125.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's just
that's the
saying we've
125.
got 2 years, 2.5 years to actually put it under contract.
Gotcha.
Another 2 years to have all that work completed. And I'll share, Earl, I'll share an update. We're starting with the structural assessment that Alan and Vin had done, got started when I was away with the military, and we're just in the process of getting the final bids for that. That'll give us a wish list of, here's what are the things in order that we should do,
Help
an magnitude
structurally
of
the
them, a
building,
cost,
yeah.
and then what we'll intend to do is each one of those take off, issue a request for proposal from a set of vendors that we're
Okay.
comfortable with. And
Gotcha.
what we're also going to do is seek grants. So before we just spend 125 plus 25,
It's a matching grant.
yeah, the state will match, and the sawmill does pretty well. When, you know, this structural assessment we have now, Vin and Alan are able to get, it wasn't matching funds, it was a grant, the full thing. So it was a gift to us to have that
Yeah.
done.
and the Lester House has 40,000 of ARPA funds. And the one project there that needs attention is the east side upper part of the siding is in bad shape. And the window frames, couple of the window frames appear to be rotted out. When you have woodpeckers making holes and building nests inside the window frames, that's usually not a good sign. And some of the fancy cornices are in kind of bad shape. So anyway, that's something I think we need to move on to get done. And
Okay.
we've got the funds, so I think we've got a sufficient funds to take care of that.
Awesome.
So that'll be a project that we want to get moving on. Okay, that is the fiscal report. Now there's didn't list correspondence. And I did receive a letter. This is a letter sent to me and to the commission from the mayor and Kevin Dombrowski. And basically, they're thanking us for holding their meet the elected officials at the Lester House back in May. They give some credit to Missy for helping get the date and get that arranged. She got a promotion to vice chairman too, according to this letter.
Good for her.
But that's okay. That's okay. And just a couple things they mentioned. Yeah, so the dedication of the Historic District Commission to preserve and maintain our historic properties provides a number of hidden gems and makes our community a great place to live in. The commitment of the town's volunteers make our community a great place for folks to visit. So, nice letter that they sent us. I'll pass it around. Okay. Next item, committee reports, the sawmill.
Yeah, I think two major items I'd want to share, Vin. The first, we talked earlier, security system's been installed. I've spoken with Alan, we're gonna keep that off for now. Once I have it on my mobile phone and I can meet with each of the volunteers and everyone can turn it on and off, then we'll activate it. What I didn't want to create for either Alan or anyone else is someone shows up and it starts going off and they don't know how to shut it off. For now, I'm the only person that'll call. So they have my home phone, my cell phone. I want to see how often this is going off. Are the motion detectors, are they bird friendly or not? And we'll find that out. But I think they did a pretty good job in terms of running wires where they're not seen. Generally, they're black or brown with one exception. There's some red that's required by code for the fire alarm or the heat sensors. And so there are 4 upstairs and 3 downstairs. And there are 3 motion zones, 2 in the first floor or the second, the upper level. And then there's not a really good place to set it up in the basement. But they have created one where it sort of goes diagonally from one corner of the building back to the other, so. We'll have to see if, it's possible the upstairs birds are, cause too much commotion and might not. But the one in the basement, I think that's where you're more likely to, our prior swimmers who came in, they would have tripped that had they come out of the water and up into the, so. I think they did a good job. I did a really good job. Took longer than I think we had planned. It was 2.5, 2 full days and a half, day to day. We initially thought we'd get it in a day, maybe a day and a half. That just, they maybe could have used another hand, but they didn't cut any corners as far as I think they were, and where they ran especially on the basement, where the heat sensors are, would be easy just to mount it under a beam, like just about, you'd hit it with your head, right? Because you know how low that is. They actually, ran it inside, like near a beam, so you're not likely to hit it. So hopefully it'll survive the test of time. It's not the level that Rue Protective had talked about. They were gonna put all the cable and steel jacket, and I don't know. It just was a very expensive, proposition.
More than
So this,
double.
way more than double. So it's done, and we'll see how it works out. So I'm happy to have that complete. The other update for this week or this month is our structural assessment, the request for proposal. We reissued it. We had first collected bids that weren't in alignment with the town's ordinance on proposals. So then worked with Matt. We have that all set. It's been issued. We expect proposals are due by the 23rd, this Thursday. James Grant had submitted the only proposal initially. I spoke with him today. He confirmed he sent it, so we should see that tomorrow. There is another company. It's a company in Massachusetts, partnered with someone in Connecticut. I think they will send one, but nothing's been received to date. I think the one we're most interested in, based on our interactions and what we saw previously, is the one from James Grant. It was a really good proposal, and I think they were pretty confident they understand the work to be done. The plan is, once we have that, this becomes our wish list for applying for grants, right? Matching grants, and then we will use the $25,000 capital or the $125,000 ARPA funds. Hopefully, we can make that $150,000. $300,000 if we can get, $1 for every one of our dollars. Anytime we do anything with that sawmill, it does well in a competition for funds. It's a pretty special building. There's a lot of old buildings. There's not a lot of old sawmills that still run. So I think we have a high probability of getting grants for that. We've had 3 vendors or 3 contractors come to look at the mill, considering submitting a proposal. Each one of them are like, wow, this is really a neat place. And so we're pretty fortunate to have that in town. Vin, I think that would be it for this month. One other thing you mentioned the head gate repair. Alan Ganong is collecting quotes. We get a last.
I don't know what the hell this is.
Hello?
The screen just went to screen
Oh.
sharing in the middle of when you were talking, but after you're done, Bill, I did have something to say about the correspondence there.
Yes,
Sure. Okay, I think I'm good. I know sure what happened with the screen sharing. Apologize for that.
think you're
Under
back,
that
you're back on.
correspondence, I am actually the one who spent many hours relocating picnic tables, making flower arrangements for that town event, setting up for it with my wedding tablecloths, and arranging all of their food, and bringing out the leftovers from my wedding the weekend before because they hadn't thought of water for their event. So I understand Missy handled the technical side of it, but this caretaker over here also did quite a lot.
They do. I have to.
Yeah, sure.
There's a part here that says here the Nathan Lester House provided a lovely venue to personally meet the residents. It also provided an opportunity for residents to enjoy the gardens and lilacs that were in bloom and use the hiking trails. So thank you for your efforts on that. It looks like it was appreciated by the town and went over well.
Yes, since I was there.
May I ask the speaker's name? That way I can, the person that did all that extra work and stuff, the speaker's. name?
That's Rebecca.
Rebecca.
We still talking about the sawmill?
Yeah, I think I'm good, Ken, unless you have any questions.
Yeah, about the turbine on Hugo Road that I think Al
Oh.
has looked at.
That's right.
And I talked to Heather Harwood, who I went to high school with, and she's the one that's in charge of that. And I don't know what it entails to go look at it with Al, see if they want to get it out of the, I don't know what anything like.
So we will receive the one that was from another property. This is the second one, is that right?
Yeah.
No, the town already came and took a couple things.
Okay, same place,
The
got it,
same
Yeah.
place.
Yeah,
The one we took was
easier.
loose. You
right.
could Just pick it up. This one is still connected to the building. Okay, it's not disconnected.
is it worth having?
Well.
She's willing to give it up. Even if you had it on display or.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
don't
think
know where-
we'd like it. I
You
mean,
would- yeah, I
I don't-
got that impression.
I know Alan's very interested. I apologize, Ken, for not bringing that up. So we did get the first two pieces out, but the rest, I'm just not sure what it's gonna take to remove it. And certainly we would want to do no harm in the process. Who did do the pickup of that one? Vin?
The town.
The town did.
Downtown,
And they
the
saw,
highway guys.
right, and they saw the rest of it. Did they have any thoughts on what it would take, or did we? did we
They
just-
can't,
They can't do it.
they don't have the wherewithal to
Okay.
disconnect it.
So I need to look at it.
Yeah. Ken, I'd be happy to go
Without-
down with you.
Yeah, or
and-
yeah, you or Al and both of us or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure if, and you went to high school with the,
Yeah,
okay.
the executor.
I mean, I'd like to take a look at it just to get a sense for like, is it movable? And Ken, I can follow up, we can pick any time,
Okay.
and if not, we'll get, maybe a young boy with a sawmill, we'll have him just cut it off and.
Yeah. Chainsaw and a lift.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the executor was talking to a salvage company
Yes,
to pick up, well, there's so much stuff there. There's
Yeah.
a ton of stuff, and also about disconnecting the turbine. But I think
they didn't want to
that
disconnect
fell,
the turbine.
they
Yeah.
fell through, so she.
Okay, so that's the news. They,
That's
right, okay,
what's new
Okay.
about this. So the thought was, I guess, Alan, that maybe it's something that you could do,
That's what I'm thinking, if it's something
you
I
know,
can do,
it's
yeah.
something you might be able
Yeah,
to
the
do.
same thing we do with the logs, you can lift them
So-
out. I have extenders on the fourth if you need to lift the thing up, if it's something you want.
I
They're
think we'd
selling the-
like to
They're
have
selling the property and that
Right.
is one of the old,
Right.
there's a woolen mill or something, I think, down there.
and I know Alan's already done a lot of research on him. He knows some of the history. It'd be nice to have. What I'll do is I'll reach out to him after the meeting, see if there's a day that, he'd want to. And then we can figure out,
Okay,
what his availability looks like. And we'll go, if you're willing, go take a look at it,
Yep.
see if there's.
I know there's no rush, because the family member still has to look at the stuff before they can move anything. The family member hasn't been out there to look at the stuff.
Okay.
yet, So there's time before anything happens.
Got it. But we want to be able to know,
Yeah.
like, it's
Oh,
either
no, I-
doable, or you might
yeah.
look at it and be like,
Yeah.
beyond, that'd be nice to
Yeah.
have. It'd be very nice to have. We're gonna need another
Okay.
building to put these parts in.
All right,
Okay,
well, thanks.
Thanks, Ken.
That would be good. Lester House, we don't have either of our co-chair people here, so there's much of a report, but I would like to take this opportunity to thank Rebecca for her service as our caretaker. We the committee chairs and myself and the mayor made a decision to not renew Rebecca's contract, to go in a somewhat different direction. So, but again, thank you for your service.
I would also like to add, I have questions under the Lester House. Like, how did I sit in this meeting last month with you guys and nothing came up about the contract? I was planning the 4th of July until 30 minutes before a marshal walked in the driveway and I found out that I was no longer going to be the caretaker here. I am very hurt and offended by the Historic District Commission's decision to do this so underhandedly.
Well, I
No,
really
Ben,
don't want to get
Ben,
into a
Ben. And we have autistic kids. We're homeless. And town council did not know about this at all. So you blindsided everybody and the taxpayers in this town. So you want to explain this to us? Because you do.
I'm not
No, no,
I'm
no,
not
no.
gonna-
No.
gonna
Yeah, you
explain.
do. Yes, you do.
No, not at this meeting. I don't think this
Yeah,
is.
you do, because public
No,
taxpayers are
it's-
watching this meeting.
No, we're not gonna talk about this here. The decision makers on this are not present, other than me,
Yeah,
okay?
because you did it backdoor deal.
If
I
I think
feel this is more repercussion
I-
because
I
I
just-
called the police on
Yeah.
Vin because
It's
Vin
gonna
got
be a
in my face and
discussion
was screaming at me.
about
No,
this.
we're no.
it has to include the
No.
mayor. And
Nope,
also,
nope, 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 nope.
Corey,
Not-
enough.
it's not gonna happen at this meeting. That's it. All right.
So we got a
Rick-
comment. Go ahead, please.
That's one of the reasons I came. I'm Bruce Darkstep. I live at 10 Pleasant View. And my question is, I know that the historical commission is going to take a new direction with the Lester House. But as a farmer in town, I'm just wondering, is that direction going to include like like a working farm type atmosphere?
It could,
Well,
it has in the past.
yeah,
And
I
it
know
could-
that they're
could-
taking a new direction. That's what they said. I think I heard that's happening. They're taking a new direction with the Lester House. So I just wondering what direction that is and how that affects farming. Because we're trying to, recognize farmers in town, what they do. And any type of exhibit that you have that can kind of promote the agriculture for this town, I think is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if that's going to be included in.
Yeah, that would be a consideration, obviously. So, as I said, we've had that in the past, but the caretakers and tenants have been totally responsible for the animals, the care of them, safety, all of that. The town is really not equipped to take care of,
Well, I know they're not.
you know, it would have to be
Obviously,
part-
they're not the
part
town
of that.
animals. They are the caretakers. Of hazard.
all right.
So there's a
Okay,
limit.
thank you. Okay, and research preservation, center school. and
It's been pressure washed and be painted soon to get that work done, just to get it back looking good on the outside again. And I think that money that we had will, sound like they're gonna do a good job.
Okay,
Yeah. It's in the
Good.
works now.
when does he think he might get to it?
I thought it'd be last week because we pressure washed it the week before. So it's gonna be when the weather's right and probably.
Yeah, that does
So,
depend
yeah.
on the weather.
Ken, we had a couple boards, I know at the steps, so we had to replace a few. After the pressure washing, any indication, any boards need to be replaced?
At the school,
Yeah,
um,
I think it was before, I think it was like some of the lower ones had a little rot, and I know we replaced, with a, not traditional lumber, just because near the kick plate of the door, I think was one that would just I'm wondering, when you pressure wash, sometimes you see some things like, oh,
Yeah, you bet sometimes you gotta put like wood putty back in there
Yeah.
to get it back together, so you don't have to take it all
just
apart or
any-
whatever.
anything obvious.
I didn't notice anything obvious,
Okay.
but I haven't looked at it really well since you pressure washed it.
Okay,
I noticed with pressure washing on my house, that if the wood trim was really
Oh,
rotted,
you gotta be careful
it-
with that
it-
pressure washer.
it'll tear,
You
it'll
rip
tear it
Right
right
through it.
out,
Yeah, oh,
and
yeah.
you have to replace it. Okay, social media, Missy's not here, so there's nothing there. Old business, I'm not sure if it's regarding the apple orchard project at the Lester House. I don't think we've heard anything more from the Eagle Scout on that, so I'm assuming he's figured out how to do it, proceed with it, or
This-
maybe. Do you know
this,
anything
I do,
about-
I know this scout very well. I don't know that he's going to proceed with his project.
Okay,
It was it was a great project. We may have another scout. He's approaching sort of a point where there's not enough time between now and his birthday and the extensions that the Boy Scouts of America would offer in lieu of COVID. And I don't think he's gonna do it. And Ken, you remember this, the detail here? This was Reese Yaris.
Oh, yeah.
So he was gonna graft a number of historic apples from properties around the community. And
Mhm.
one of the places they would consider putting was Nathan Lester, but
Right.
I haven't seen it progress. And, he turns 18 this
So
summer.
Reese didn't get his eagle?
No, which is amazing.
Oh, it is.
I mean,
amazing.
because this
Yeah,
young
well,
man, he
people.
was so close
Yeah.
8 years ago. I mean, he was, but it's what happens to the teenagers, they get
Mhm.
a lot of activities. It's a hard thing to finish.
It is, yeah, it's a lot of work.
I also,
there is a hard,
yeah, yeah.
right, when they turn 18, is it? That's
It
it,
is,
they
that's
have
it.
to have
There-
everything
there's a-
done and reported.
Because of COVID, there are
Word on the
some,
book, yeah.
but it have to be applied for. Like, it's not like you can
Yeah.
say, oh, I get another 2 years. If you
Yeah.
apply for it, they have granted some extensions. But in his case, he hasn't initiated that and hasn't really done much on this. And I talked to his dad quite a bit. And he hasn't said much recently on it. So I think
Now,
it's likely to go away.
One thing that Jay, when he was a member of the commission, was going to do, I don't think he got around to it, was make up a potential list of Eagle projects for the Lester House. And we could give that list to the, what? the
And I take it, right?
two
We
troops.
have 2 troops in.
two troops we have in town, so that when a candidate comes up, they can at least look at those.
What's
These are things that
Right.
we'd be interested in, and if they're interested, then
Mm,
they could proceed. Of course, they can come up with their own project that might be acceptable too.
Right.
But it seems like if we could give them a little bit of help identifying worthwhile projects, that might be a good thing. And I think would you agree that would be a kind of a worthwhile?
Yeah, and I'd be happy if we have it. And I'll probably even talk with Alan. There's a few things at the sawmill we probably could have at least just standing asks if a Boy Scout is interested in. I'd be happy
We
to
could
share it. I know Troop 16 better because of the time Ken and I spent there. But, we could also share that with, the Gales Ferry troop as well. Actually, there's a third one because we sometimes have a 2 in Gales Ferry,
Oh,
55 and.
So I think for the Lester House Committee, that would be a good thing to have. Okay. All right, under new business, historically, we usually cancel our July and August meetings. And so I don't know how you folks feel about it, but I mean, it
Maybe
does.
I would offer for Earl just some thoughts on that. It doesn't mean we don't do anything.
Oh, no.
We still will do, there may be decisions made through email, but just with family vacations, the July and August times
Yeah.
At least as long as I've been on, we've always just suspended those and I don't think we haven't, sometimes we've had motions ahead of time to authorize money that we think's coming. Don't think that's needed in this case, and then email is an effective way to, request and approve if needed.
So just a comment toward that is, if you guys if we end up voting to not have July and August. I don't know during your agenda, I got this list of things I could do in the next 2 months. I'd like to go through it
Oh,
before this
sure.
meeting's over and get your guy saying that's a great idea, or no, let's not do that one.
Sure.
By all means. yeah.
Okay.
Sure, and as Bill said, the committees and the workers on the Lester House and the Sawmill, they'll continue
Right.
to work,
Yeah, I assume.
through the
Yeah.
summer. And I can see a building reconstruction project at the Lester House this summer to get that side repaired. Because you got things going on that are gonna go through the summer.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So at least in this, I'll make a motion that we suspend the July and August meetings as we've done in the
Okay,
past. If
okay.
We could get a.
It's been moved.
I second that.
Seconded.
Yeah.
Ken seconds it. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No, no. Okay, motion passes. All right, so under new business, Earl.
I have the
I
floor.
wanna- yeah,
Here's a floor, sure.
let us
Okay.
know what you got in mind.
And good thing Bruce here, one of my items actually goes to what he just said. But I'll just go right down in the order I have them here. So I saw this, once again, I'm new back to the town. And I saw this magazine and I called Pam Hunter. And the magazine I'm referring to is Ledger Events Magazine.
Parks and Recs, right?
Well, this is actually Ledger Events. Anybody
Okay.
can, town mayor does things. in
That's
it.
the latest one.
Yeah. And then I called, it sounds like Krista Chapman's the coordinator. And it sounds like in the past, you guys have presented articles and things for her. So one of the things I was thinking of, if there's anything coming up from now before early September, any major events, I could write up a little thing about the events. I just need to know about them. But the other thing I thought of doing in lieu of if any events were being talked about for this magazine, and kind of go, you're like in charge of the chair of the schoolhouses, right?
Mhm.
So one thing I was thinking about is like, I know a few people that used to go to the one school houses.
Mhm.
And those people know other people. So I was wondering if, I just interview some of these people, find out who's left that went to those things and write a little article up for Ledger Defense. And then maybe in the future, once we get a little database going on who attended these things, attended the schools, maybe have an appreciation reunion, school reunion kind of thing in the spring or summer of next year, gives us time to get it organized. Just some thoughts. But if
I
that's
think it-
something you guys like, I can work on that.
Earl, that sounds like a great idea.
I think that is a good idea. Some years back, and time goes by, but it might be 10 years or so. The Historical Society put on at one of their meetings, they had an open house invitation. And they did a history of some of the schoolhouses, where they were, and 13 original and what we've got now. But at the end of that, they had a panel of former students. And they were probably, might have been a half a dozen or so, folks who had actually attended those schools.
Yeah.
That just kind of, talked about experiences, and people in the audience asked questions. And I think I might have asked a couple questions because I went to a one-room school down in Westchester County. But that went over extremely well.
I thought
I was
it-
very well attended and received.
And I figured once I interviewed them, I could get a feel for what they would want. and I might be able to come
Sure.
back and say, hey, you know, majority of these people would like this, that. They might love the idea I just said, but they might want something else for it.
And let's face it, Earl, better sooner than
Mhm.
later.
Well, we're running out of time for something.
I
that's for sure.
mean,
Well, we have, first Sunday of the month, the Gear Hill School.
Mhm.
We have, we've already had two, there's gonna be, I think, two more. There's at least one more, it's only 3 or 4 months. And it's an open house from 2 to 4. And we've had a good turnout, we had 40 people there last Sunday.
40?
Yeah,
Wow.
the lady that,
That's
so they
good.
put a sign out, you know, open house Sunday 2 to 4, so the cars drive by, you know, and then the
Right.
people stop. And it's at also open house at the Bill Tavern. And the way station.
Yeah.
Because
I
that's-
saw that. Okay, you,
Right,
right,
that's the same week, the same time that's both going on there. Because they're working on a grant as well for the way station. And one of the grant particulars were, you know, what you're doing with it, you know, you're showing it to people. So they're getting kind of more people interested in having tours. So
okay.
then it shows you're actually, you know, doing something with it. And since that was happening, they did the Gear Hill School. That's not looking for any donations, but it's open. So the lady that we have run it, she went to school there.
No, good.
And the other lady that shows up there a lot, Mary Foltz, she's her sister, and she went to school there. And there's a couple people in Gales Ferry, Jerry Watkins, he runs a dump up there. His father went to the school. There's only a few left that really went to these schools in 1949.
Did you say Mary went? She went there?
Yeah, Mary and
Okay.
Dave Holdridge
Yeah.
and Jada Barnett,
Okay.
they all went
And I can
there.
hook up with David, because I know him, and get these names and you.
Yep.
And our side of the family have people, so we'll
Right.
start collecting
that
that
end,
and
yep.
work with you a little bit.
So, and then on, if you wanted to meet up some people as well, on June 28th, the alleged library lady has a big thing going on there at 10:30 in the morning, where they're bringing in, they're gonna have some little speakers talking and some people telling about the old times, things like that, that are happening with some children and other adults. So you could wander in there if you wanted and see how some of that stuff goes and to talk to people.
now the presentation that I just mentioned, Kit Foster, you know, Kit.
Yeah, I've been trying to contact. her.
Right.
I'll continue.
He has got the information, you know, the history.
Is it he or she? Because someone else referred
Say
to
he.
it. Okay,
So,
someone in the town also lived in the she, so, okay. Anyways, I'm gonna try to get,
yeah,
Talk to that
he would be a good president.
so the next one on my list here is in the day paper on Thursday, June 16th, there was an article about North Stonington or North Stonington ordinance about tearing down historic buildings. And what it does is it allows like I think a 2-week period to rethink and have people from the town to think of like repurposing it or whatever that could be done to save it versus someone just tearing it down. And I know some people, like I brought this up when I first came here last month, was
Yeah.
there's people that the town is like, you gotta get rid of these buildings and they're historic, and our next door neighbors, the town is being proactive of trying to help these people save them or repurpose them. So I was wondering if we think of doing, proposing that to the town committee, if I can do some more research on that and as a group, go to the town commission, counselor and say,
Uh,
can you consider this?
I'll have to send you our charter and our operational procedures
Okay,
document.
do we have
But-
something of this nature?
But yeah, under the preservation, I mean, that's the kind of thing that is mentioned for this commission to do.
Right,
And honestly,
That's the one thing we haven't.
we
done.
we just haven't had someone who's
Interested in.
willing or able to do that. And
so on
we
my other
end
list,
up spending most of the time on our two resource facilities that we
Yeah.
have.
looks
but
like
I-
there's people doing Lesser House Sawmill, I can like do more in the class.
This is-
and
this
the
would be-
research in the preservation section.
I
side of things.
I think that's very worthwhile.
Or what what I would just say, what I really like is you mentioned last month and I thought it was a good concept, but I was concerned that no one else would do it, so we'd be fighting uphill.
Yeah.
But to know that Stonington has just done that, that's like.
Yeah.
It's an indicative of it being a need.
Yeah.
And that not, there's a way to solve it different than Ledger's, which is. We don't have any, provisions for it, so.
So you're all right with me doing more research? on this?
absolutely.
Okay, my next thing is,
Matter of fact, we'll make you chair of the reservation.
you
Okay,
can,
how's
that
that?
and the research one too.
Or research, I'm
I
not
can do
sure which
both,
one
actually.
it best fits under.
So the next one is research, plaques for houses, and important buildings. I'd like to start a database of, unless it already exists, or I could probably leverage the tax rolls too of when they were built. But if we don't have this already, is like a listing of what we feel are important properties and buildings that we should watch out for.
That
And,
it's historic.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then as far as the plaques go too, is like, if people are willing to self-fund their own plaque and there's no like ties that we tie them to. If we had like and you guys brought this up last time, is like a guideline for the sign with the ledgered oak that you guys were talking about. I know a lot of people that are interested in that I can start like putting these signs on people's houses. But when you guys talked about the signs and stuff, does it come with any ties? Like if it's somebody's house and they want to make sure, well, I don't want to have this sign if it comes with like, I can't do, if it's
Right.
recognized as a,
You can't paint it, you can't.
yeah, and all that kind of bull stuff. So
No,
if not, there's a lot of historical things that would be on the database that we all agree is historical, and we can get these signs up and make it like Mystic that has
Right.
down there with all their signs.
when it was initially thought, and I know Doug. Who initially started then? Who did the initial research on the sign?
I think it was Missy and then was Lance
Right, okay,
and Doug.
yeah,
Well, Missy and Doug are down in the village.
Yeah.
And of course, down in the village, a lot of the houses are plaqued.
Yeah.
Right? But that's probably the only
so, I'm sorry,
section in town that where that's is done.
unfortunately, like all the brain trust on this topic, they're not here. But my thinking, if I remember the discussion, was if we had a standard sign that we placed on certain properties that were, known to the town, maybe even a few that we would donate to others that would want it, there might generate an interest that other people would want it,
Mhm.
right? And that the sign would be, provided through, someone of fair price. And that could be a small, donate, so you would buy a sign, it's $100, $20 goes to the Historic District Commission.
All right.
So initially it was conceived of as, a small fundraiser. But regardless of whether that emerged or not, I think having the list of properties.
That would be a good start.
That would be,
Then we could
that would
start
be a good start.
Canvassing these people, see if they're
Yeah.
interested and.
But there was never
Right.
any provision to say that if you had that, it became like
Yeah, that's
town
the-
jurisdiction, you
right,
had
that's
these
the
new
concern
zoning.
that they have.
Right.
Other than that, they'd love to have, display their pride in their old house and stuff. So if that's something do I hook up with, well, Lance is gone, do I hook up with Missy? or
Yeah,
is anyone-
Lance had to leave because he moved.
So is this Missy's thing, or should I take it over?
I think when we next meet, because we probably talk with Missy to just make sure like
And I can work on a database. in the
Yeah.
Meantime.
in the
But you
meantime,
could work
absolutely.
on the database. See, the other thing that Lance was willing to do,
Mhm.
and he had experience and smarts to do it, was to offer sort of some help or consulting to people who were wanting to trace their house back.
Yeah.
So they could plaque it. Okay, to see when was it built, who built it,
Sure.
and so forth.
Now,
Woods doesn't quite qualify, I don't think.
Yeah. Are you,
that's right.
Earl, are you? I mean,
I'm listening.
have you done any of that sort of thing?
So I can do things like that and,
I mean, we're not gonna do the work
Yeah.
for the people. They're gonna have to, do the work. But like, where do I start? you
Right,
know.
so we
And
can,
where's the information kind of thing?
yeah, I can work on being a person that can coordinate it and help guide people and work with me
Yeah.
to get details of their house if need be.
Yeah,
And I can start learning that too. I'm a quick learner on that, so.
I think even if you start
that'd
with a
be,
list
that'd
of
be,
ones.
that'd be great.
No,
that
yeah,
we-
so, I mean, Bruce, you know Lambtown alone. You know, we
Yeah,
got the
right.
Lambs Homestead, we know the date on that, we know the Pearson's place right next to mine, 85 Lambtown, we know the history there. My grandmother's house, we know, the Fox place, we know.
Yeah,
All
there's a
those
map,
things.
there's a map and ledger of all the houses
I
built
have that
before,
map,
yeah,
yeah.
so there's a lot there you can start with.
Yeah, so I'll start with the database and then we can go from there. And then we'll get with Missy if you guys already got an idea of what the common plate would look like. Okay. Next thing is, kind of goes back to Bruce's comment earlier is, do we coordinate with commissions like zoning, conservation, historic society, the aquaculture society, cemetery society? And the same idea Bruce had, independent, I had of him is like the Lester House is like, we are a farming community. And are we brainstorming a vision for like the next 5, 10, 15 years of, let's say, the Lester House of where we would we have, like, I went up in Massachusetts where they have these shared gardens, say. But would Lester House be open, you know, I'm just brainstorming, but we
Sure.
can think about this for 2 months, is like, is the vision of Lester House is where, could we have a shared farm space? Where someone says, I'm gonna take care of X amount of property and I wanna put cows on, just saying.
Right.
And whatever it is, or goats, or I wanna do some kind of farming activity in sector A. And then do we have the sectors of Lester House where we could do things like that? And the other
Yeah.
vision thing, just to quickly get everything in my head, is like, some of the other vision things is, I brought up this last month too, is like living history, like the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, living history people that would, this, down south where I was, there was living history, all, you know, people from the French and Indian Wars, the Civil War, and they'd come in for a weekend and do a presentation, like if you have a couple of Boy Scout troops,
Right.
you coordinate it. Hey, we got these living history people coming in. They're gonna be like doing French and Indian War. We're gonna have some French people and the colonials, and the Boy Scouts get to come in and set up camp and go through their things. Those are
That
some of
would
the,
be, that would be great.
so anyway, so
Things
back
like-
to my original question, how well do we coordinate with these other groups? Like from his committee, he might have ideas of these people that might
What
want to
committee
use.
are you on?
Agricultural Commission.
Agriculture?
And he's concerned about farming and keeping that in the forefront of our history and keep it going. And that commission might be the one that actually drums up these kind of things and ideas that we say, let's do it together."
So we may have a facility that would complement
Right.
and support the activities of your committee. Well, we do coordinate with the Historical Society.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay, we've got a pretty close working relationship with them. And we get involved with conservation and Avalonia a bit because our trails connect
Yeah.
to Avalonia's trails and so forth. So there's some coordination there.
Because it goes back to that like virtual historical trail that we could do on the computer someday. And it could be combined with the real trails and with our historical sites, even, and if we got plaques up to informal historical sites, we can like start putting this together on a map virtually and stuff. And then, but these are just ideas, so I think you guys are looking and saying, yeah, we can possibility like start coordinating with some of these guys if they got shared ideas with us.
We certainly could. And here's what I'd offer. May we have a member of the town council often join us. Bill Soms has joined us in the past.
Yeah.
One of the things I don't know that we've done is gone to other committee meetings. And it's really been a matter of, resource and availability. But in terms of you know, whether it's agricultural or preservation society, if we wanted to do more, I
Like we
don't think
should,
there's anything we'd be.
but we
averse
should
to.
definitely like look up with zoning, so they're not creating new, okaying zoning things right over a historical thing, or, it could be a concern in the
The
future.
only difference for Vin's charter though, is our area of responsibility.
But preservation is one of them. And
It's
if we have
preservation.
ideas of all these preservation sites,
Preservation,
and then
yeah.
zoning is not in the know,
Yeah.
that we have kind of thought about these areas of
See, so-
preservation. And they
so-
just zone it as like commercial or something.
If you have get your list of
Yeah.
historic sites, ones that we kind of have our eye on.
Yeah.
Because we think they're worth preserving. And then if someone watches the zoning commission, and when we see something coming up,
In those,
we actually might want to go to that zoning meeting
Yeah.
and put in a pitch from the Historic District Commission that this building has some historical significance,
Yeah.
and so forth.
Okay, go through the rest of my little list here. So I talked about this, but I don't know if I got an action item here. Lesser House, do we have to promote the 4-H Girl Scouts, Dennison? So can I? Sounds like you're hooked up with the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. Sorry, I don't know your background, but sounds like you are. And I can do some research on local living history guys. See if anyone
Sure.
might be curious of coming in here and doing things like this. and-
here's what I would do, like, if you were to find any organization, that said, we're looking for a place to do something, we want to do this.
Yeah.
We'd make sure that the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts, in the community would be aware of it. We do have an event at the Nathan Lester House every year. We bring all the Boy Scout troops in town. COVID's messed it up, but just before that, we had all three of them for the first time together. That were there. It was pretty neat. They happen to do that in Thanksgiving time every year. We do a little, but if there was another time, there was an event, I know they would want to join.
And then how about so some of the families donated, like I brought this up last time, donated like old tools and things to the Lester House, like we did ice stuff and farm stuff, and who else, Gears might have put some stuff there for all I know, but when I was given access to the area where the tools are, it's like we could probably improve that with like,
Signage,
if we have like the ice stuff that I know about laid out better with a sign, and you had some good signs actually at the sawmill about ice cutting and stuff, but have that same kind of thing in the tools, when people, I don't know if people can tour that barn with the equipment and lay it out better with the actual walking path with like signs and describing what these things were. Might be something we think about. That
That
sounds
would-
like Missy's deal, right?
That would be worthwhile.
Like Missy, is she in charge of the Lester subcommittee?
Well, the subcommittee, yeah, so we let her know. But I think if you're going to go and spend some time there, looking at stuff and seeing what can be done. I mean, we can just get you a key
Oh,
to
that'd be
that
sweet.
building, so
That would be
you
sweet.
can go at your leisure.
Cause I could help out down there if she's overwhelmed and stuff, or got other, she's probably doing the garden club and the flowers and who all knows out, so she might be doing a lot. I could help out down there. Okay, so talk about that. Talk about that. What is so it sounds like I caught on to what this is, the apple orchard. It sounded like there was a Boy Scout, and it sounds like it's dead, so I'm. I don't need to talk
it
about it.
probably is, yeah.
So
If it changes, or I'll make sure we.
we're actually doing that. I already talked to Fred.
Yep.
Fred is the old app, he
Yeah.
owned all the app, over there on Allen's.
Yep.
He's gonna let me go up there and graft a bunch of his historic apple trees, and we're gonna put them on like my farm, do our own little apple orchard. My wife would like to do that, so. So maybe I can go for an Eagle Scout or two.
Yeah.
For me.
You might be a little bit old, but we'll see if we can get an exception, an honorable.
This birthday's
Yeah.
February 29th.
Yeah.
It only has like 10.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's my big list. So it sounds like you guys don't mind me pursuing these kind of issues.
We encourage it.
Okay.
I
so-
think you're hitting on some areas that we just haven't had the interest or a person, you need a person to start
Sure.
with who's got an interest in that area. That's a good starting point. You obviously have the interest. And just other things that people have gotten involved in. So that's been, just not much has been
Right.
done over the years.
Right.
And it is our charter, so absolutely.
Okay, cool. Good. I just want to go through that.
Welcome, I think it's great to have the,
It's nice when somebody new comes in and they jump right in and it's like, what can I do? You know, you've got some ideas and some things you'd like to pursue. And that's great.
Now, on the regular agenda, what I missed was, is there a section where the community gets to talk on any issue they want? Like, because I've been to some of the other committees and they have that. Is that?
We
not-
would, we don't actually have community members very frequently, but I think, we always would
Like-
address.
Like, for example, Bruce is sitting here.
At one
And if he
point in
was
the
in-
agenda, right?
If he was in any other committee, there's a time where he gets to say his piece and ask his questions. Do we have that as a normal agenda? If not, might
We
consider it.
have had, but it's not every meeting or whatever. We've had groups come in
Yeah.
that needed advice or support or whatever, and would be put on the agenda and then we listen and discuss.
Okay.
And usually they're looking for, most of the time, to have some plans to do things and would like the commission's feeling about it, and usually they're looking for support.
So is a proper way, I'm just for, if someone asks me in the future, if someone wanted to address the board, would they send you a correspondence asking you to be
Just-
put on the agenda?
Just
Is
send,
that
send me an email.
email?
Just
then
send me an
they-
email.
And that gets put on the agenda?
That's all.
Okay.
Just briefly what it is they want to discuss, and I'll put it on the agenda.
Okay,
So.
Good.
Okay, well, thanks.
yep, you're welcome.
And welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very good. Very good.
All right. Is there any other new business?
We do have Bruce. Anything else, Bruce, that you want to share?
I'll wait till the meeting's over.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right.
And
Don't
make a
forget
motion
to
to
have a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
Okay,
Second.
All right. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. We're adjourned at 8:12. You've been taking some notes, which,
I think the town has. a
Which-
list of
which is
old
good.
houses.
but
I don't know if you've seen that.
Well, I have
this
a
this
map.
is
No, this
recorded.
is everything
It is.
Yeah. Oh, I
So
haven't seen it.
Christina, and she does this with other commissions,
No, I mean,
She
but
can
if
do
you- if you
the
look in
minutes.
there,
We
but
should.
hang on to them in
Oh,
case.
I will, just
Okay,
in case.
because they're, you know, like,
all the way down.
can't always
It doesn't have
hear,
the house that-
doesn't know who's talking, or can't make it out, and then you know.
I got it back. I got the backup plan.
Okay, you hear the
There
back.
again, that
But I
must be
didn't
in the
realize
town
that she could do that, but she mentioned, she
Because
mentioned,
Ledyard was part of Rockland.
he has a day.
That would be great.
I would think the other
Welcome.
thing.
You know?
If I go.
Are we ready to-
into-
All right, I guess
Because I was looking
we're
at
we're good.
like a piece of property, but if I go up to the town clerk and go to the
and
office, I go 85
Just see, I can
down the
find
road.
it.
Doesn't give all the
Yeah.
history and stuff on
I think
that?
you have that.
I can't, is that you? Can't hear you. I'm the only one left on. Am I the only one left on?
Yeah, leave the meeting.
How do I do that? Leave, okay.
That's those bullshit meetings. You see how he did that?
Yes, I do.
They suspended the meeting. They suspended the next two meetings. And then they're gonna give some random person keys.
Yeah. Who is that person?
He's gonna take over
He
that.
literally just moved up here,
I can't.
moved back to town. A month ago, he moved back to town. And they're gonna give him keys to the house.
I can't get out of here. You there?